right, hey, welcome to another edition of the Who Dat Jedi podcast, and you're going to hear a little bit different sound because we are on the road. We are meeting in a local tap room. Can we say what tap room we're in?
Sure.
All right, we're at Nola Brewing, and they've graciously turned off the music, so you don't have a soundtrack that we had going with this. And what's ironic is that when we usually record in my Star Wars room in my house in Gentilly, and the door to that room has been broken, and the dogs try to keep breaking in. And so we're like escaping that for 1 week. But I fixed the door so the dog wouldn't be able to break in. And then we decided to move it down here. But we have a dog out on the porch out here, and he was looking at Fredo all skeptically. Yeah, so anyway, so it's a little bit different sound. We'll get the best out of this we can, but we've got some special guests with us from the Intergalactic crew of Chewbacchus. We have Ariana and Brooke. There we go. Yes. See, I remembered it. I got it. We'll get a little bit better introduction of you all here soon, but we're going to first of all get into some breaking news. Oh no! Before Fredo's breaking news, and by the way, sitting around not just Ariana and Brooke, but we also have Dave and Fredo and myself.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. So the regular crew is all here. But some other breaking news that Fredo and my wife Brittany and we participated in Star Wars trivia at Reginelli's in Elmwood on Tuesday, and we won. Woo. We only missed two questions.
Do you remember which questions they were?
I do remember which questions they were. They didn't make me as mad as the one that we got hosed on when we were at Tracy's.
Kyber crystals.
Yeah. But the two questions was what is the longest running movie of the original three? Empire, Return of the Jedi, or A New Hope? Which do you think is the longest run time?
Oh. I would think Return.
You should have been on our team. We would have gotten that one because we said Empire. I don't know. Empire just seems like a longer run. But we didn't know that. The other one was, what does R2D2 stand for?
Oh. I'm not going to remember that.
I got half of it.
Yeah.
I didn't get the other half. It was Reel 2 Dialogue Track 2.
Oh.
Because they were editing and they said, hey, hand me Reel 2 Dialogue Track 2, and it was R2D2, and that's how they got the name. So there you go. But we got the suspect card put on us because we knew what the number of the trash compactor from A New Hope was. And I've known that since I was 6 years old. So it's 3263827, in case anybody wants to know. But anyway, yes, we won. We only missed two questions. It was only the first three movies, so it was, and being, in our 40s, it was easy. So,
we've only watched these movies like 20 times each.
At least, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, when they're like asking, who's the bounty hunter or whatever, you're like, oh, when you're asking who's the bounty hunter or whatever, you're like, okay, yeah, we know what that is. Turn it in, and kind of like that.
It was pretty easy, and I think there was a lot of people there that never watched Star Wars because it was kind of embarrassing. But anyway, all the way out to Elmwood to win, but so we got bragging rights. But breaking news: as Fredo and I were sitting downstairs, I was having some buffalo wings, and we're both drinking beer. My wife sent a text with just question marks and a link to a Collider article. And Fredo, go ahead. What's going on?
So the title of the article is, and it's from a few hours ago, exclusive Obi-Wan series on hold as crew sent home. So what the article is detailing is that from two independent sources with knowledge of the situation, the Obi-Wan series that's being set up over at Disney Plus, that's going to be written by Hossein Amini and directed by Deborah Chow, who directed a couple of really good episodes of The Mandalorian. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, was not happy with the scripts, and so they're going to have to rework on them. So they have basically packed up shop and told everybody to go home. Now, the article says, and let's see if I can find the actual statement. It says, sources tell us that what will most likely happen next is the scripts will be reworked with the hopeful goal of reassembling this summer, but there's always the possibility that the time frame could shift. So for those of you who don't know, a crew is contracted out. So you contract the costume people, you contract the set people, you contract all the people who make the magic happen, so to speak, and then they come to work for you for a set period of time. So they're kind of exclusive to you for that time, and then when the contract's over, when the production's over, they get to go home and they go find their next project. The difficulty here is you can't hold a crew indefinitely because you're paying for them. So at some point, either people are either taking on another job and they're not available, or you just simply say we're not going to do this. Now, what it's sounding like is like that they're planning on coming back later this year. How quickly they can rework the scripts is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and so let all the net nerds start freaking out and coming after Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, that was a conversation Brittany and I were having just via text. Said, why do people go after Kathleen Kennedy anytime something like this happens? But I mean, honestly, the buck stops at
Her desk.
And there is something going on. We talked about this on a previous podcast. There's something going on at Lucasfilm with, I don't know if they're not managing people, or it's like, are you just hiring artists to do things and then just not checking in until they've set the room on fire? I don't know.
Right. I mean, because last week we discussed Colin Trevorrow's script for episode 9, and he had spent 2 years working on that. I mean, today there was leaks of the concept art leaking out, and a lot of that stuff is just stuff that Trevorrow did with his longtime screenwriting partner. And they had problems in that production. They had problems in the production of Solo. They had problems in the production of Rogue One. And so when you start looking at, okay, of all the projects that you put together, only Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Mandalorian have kind of gone off without a hitch. You may have to, questions may need to be asked.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm waiting for the tell-all book.
I think she gets more criticism than is justified. But
why? What criticism would? Why would she get more Why would she get more criticism?
Why would
than
she?
Like a Bob Iger? Why would that be? Why would the net nerds be going after her? I think that point is.
I wanted to make sure that point was brought up, but I also feel like it's fair to ask, like, why are so many of these productions seemingly chaotic or confused?
Yeah.
So, it's.
I mean, Kathleen Kennedy's track record as a producer and getting movies made and everything is incredible. So
yeah, you go back and look at all that stuff she did in the 80s and 90s, and throughout her career, it's great.
I don't have criticism of her, but when you're running the show, I mean, that the only reason, the main reason why a lot of these people on the internet come after her is because she's a her, and that's stupid. And
I think if the end product is good, then doesn't all this stuff that we obsess over doesn't really matter, and Rogue One's the perfect example of that, I think.
All right. I mean, we didn't know about any of the crap that was going on behind the scenes of any of the movies we watched growing up. So, yeah. But now, because of the internet, we know everything. And an insider will leak, and we all get it right away. So, anyway. All right, well, we digress. So, hopefully Obi-Wan will come out, and then we can complain about it when it gets launched. So, anyway. But we got to get into our weekly trivia contest, and Brooke and Ariana are going to join us on this. So I will start, and we'll just go on a round robin. So I'll ask Dave will ask Fredo, and you guys figure out the pattern from there on.
All right.
And it's dark up here, and I'm going to have to turn on the light on my phone to read one. So my light isn't working. I know thank you. That's okay. All right. So who interrupts Han and Leia's kiss following the destruction of the second Death Star? Dave. We'll let our listeners try to think along with you.
In a vague way, I'm pretty sure it was the Ewoks, but I'm also thinking it was Wicket specifically.
Specifically, it was Wicket. I don't even have to look at this. And from the side, I know this one.
I'm pretty sure I don't know the answers to any of the ones on my card, so it was nice to see a question. I was like, oh yeah, I know that one.
Cool. All right. We're 1 for 1. Dave, go for Fredo.
All right, Fredo. Who threatens to take his pod race wager to the Hutts for arbitration?
So let's see. Give everybody a moment. Pod race, wager, hut, Qui-Gon Jinn.
That is correct.
Oh my god.
Yay! All right. We should just name this "How nerdy are you?" You know? All right.
Well, no, because it's specific.
Deep, deep nerd.
Yeah. Well, okay. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, who are Han and Luke searching for when they set off into the Endor forest?
To the indoor forest?
Yeah. The forest of Endor.
Right? I know that you're asking me an easy question, but I cannot come up with the answer.
Well, just think about it. It's Return of the Jedi. Somebody goes missing. They got to go find her.
So, does that have to do with my jacket? Yeah. Yeah. It's Princess Leia.
See?
There you go. Right on. We are 3 for 3. Yes, I haven't answered one yet. So
Does it matter which question on
No,
the card?
just grab
You
whatever.
pick any one of them.
Pick an easy one.
I'm trying. Okay. These also have to do with my jacket.
Okay.
Okay. Who's the first person to receive a medal in the awards ceremony after the first Death Star battle? First medal awarded to
Oh, not Chewbacca.
Yeah.
not Chewbacca. There's another person that you can think of who didn't get a medal as well. So who's left?
I guess it's Luke. The other one.
McClunky.
Well, damn.
Okay, it probably should have been.
see, I would have said it was Luke too, because I thought the wink from Han came second.
Now, when you think about it, it's, while he's getting his medal, Luke is looking over at R2 and 3. He gets a second.
Yeah, you can see how excited Luke is to get his medals. They worked that moment.
All right. Well, I've got gotten that wrong as well. So,
Okay.
all right.
My turn.
And you guys don't need to lean into that microphone at all. It is
Oh,
just
right.
picking you up just fine. You can sit
Great.
comfortably.
Um.
I hear Donkey Kong. Sorry, where am I hearing Donkey Kong?
It's down there.
They have Donkey Kong down there? Yeah. No way. Well, I know where I'm hanging out now. If you ever need me, I'll be at NOLA Brewing playing Donkey Kong and drinking beer. Somebody text my wife, tell her that I'm doomed.
And Aaron was never seen again.
Yeah. No, you'll know where I am. I'm hearing Donkey. Sorry, I digress. All right, go ahead.
All right. Who is the only Jedi to address Palpatine as Darth Sidious?
Let everybody think about this. But I think we should have on our podcast sometime best 80s video games. That's number one. Donkey Kong. And it's just because of just because. Anyway. It's Yoda. Yeah.
Sure is.
Yep, it's Yoda. So cool. All right. Well, that's our trivia. You can hand me back the cards. And now we're going to move into the meat of our discussion here tonight. And this is a New Orleans Star Wars podcast. It's not really, we've been talking nothing but Star Wars, but eventually we're going to talk about other, nerdy stuff like Donkey Kong. I just keep hearing that now. And I'm just like, this is a podcast.
Okay.
You
You'll be
can't
able to
tell
play
I'm
later.
grinning from ear to ear. This is awesome. So we will talk about other nerdy things. But as New Orleans, we are in carnival season, and parades start up in earnest a week from tomorrow, right?
Oh Lord. Yeah.
No, week
Two-
from
two
Saturday.
Saturday.
Sorry, I
What?
was thinking.
What
I was
is
thinking.
time?
I just gave them
Yeah.
heart palpitations.
I was suddenly like, do I not know what today is?
Apparently I don't
Again?
know what today is. But yeah, you guys kicked the whole thing off, right? So, but I'll let Dave give the introductions because you have a bunch of cool nicknames on the website as well.
do.
Oh
So,
my gosh, yes. The titles from the website. Now, you guys refer to yourself as overlords,
well,
which
first of all, it is the first parade is the Intergalactic crew of Chewbacchus.
Yes. And main reason we're having you on is for the obvious connection of the Star Wars theme, right? And so Star Wars, Mardi Gras, the first thing I think anybody thinks of is Chewbacchus. I hope so anyway. I hope you guys have established your brand at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're kind of a big deal now.
Yeah, we're on the minds of locals for sure.
So the title of Overlord, where did that come from?
I can't tell you specifically. It emerged from the minds of the original 3 overlords. I believe it has something to do with the NPR quiz show that talks about your benevolent overlords. So that's where the idea comes from. We are not a democracy because it would take way too long to get anything done. But we do like to think of ourselves as benevolent overlords.
So the specific titles, did those come from just your own imaginations then, or were they given to you?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I chuckled at that quite a bit. So how did each of you get involved?
That's a good question, actually.
So Ariana, I am a space goddess Sacagawea. And I have been in Chewbacchus. This will be my 9th year rolling. I remember as soon as the crew was announced, I was so excited and immediately ran in and told my husband, I was like, these are our people. And he was like, oh, P.S., we're going to Georgia for a wedding that weekend. And I was like, no.
Are they still married?
They are not still married,
Well,
and
then
I hold it against him still. And so then the second year, we joined up and marched, and ever since it's been a wild ride. It's my favorite day of the year, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, same question for you.
Yeah, sure thing. So this is Brooke. I am Overlord Padme Almondine. And I got involved in 2014 after being a huge fan of the parade. I tried to make it to I was gonna watch it the first year in 2011, but the parade route was so short we missed it. And so I started watching in 2012. Was a big fan. Finally joined in 2014 with some of my roller derby teammates. We formed a dance group called the Lagerettes, the Princess Leia Majorettes. And then a couple years later, I was a little hungover and full of crew love at the cleanup afterwards. And I walked up to one of the original overlords and said, hey, I want to get involved with the mother crew. And he was like, you're in, bingo.
So this might be the obvious question. So what is... It might be one of your next questions. I don't know, but so what are the roles of the overlords? I mean,
so we make sure all the things happen to make the parade happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pretty stressed by this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of logistics that go into parade planning. Insurance and bills and police details and after party and payments and tickets and. There are all of the questions. Lots of people have questions about where do I go and what do I do and how do I find my thing. And so it's just a constant presence in our lives at this point of the year.
And do you serve a certain term or something? I was president of my church council, and that was only 1 year, thank God. But so you're just until this is until you die or quit?
Die or quit. That's how it goes.
The original group of 3 served for 8 years before retiring.
Right on.
That's really cool.
And this is my 2nd year.
My 3rd.
And last year was particularly stressful. There were lots of things that went wrong. So
within 10 days of the parade, there were lots of things that went wrong. But we made it.
Permitting issues and lots of fun stuff.
We made it, and we adopted a theme song that last year. It is Masterpiece. What's it called?
Oh, what's the title of the song?
I think it's just called We Did It.
We Did It. I think that is the name of it.
So we still, that has become part of our friendship and rolls together is playing that song for each other.
I said I was a high school band director in a former life, and every 2 years we took all like 250 kids on a trip. Usually it was, to somewhere. We went to LA, we went to Florida, we went all over the place. And that was 2 years of, like you said, logistics. And it was, I hated that part. I loved when I was on the trip with the kids and it was fun, but leading up to it just sucks. So I'd imagine it's the exact same.
Great comparison.
100%. Exact same feeling. Parade day is magical.
Yeah.
Because it's too late. It's like, it's either going to go
it's
or
like a wedding, right?
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Nothing you can do now, so. But there is a relief. I mean, there is kind of a Zen moment with that. It's like, well, kids are on the plane and we're heading. It's like, okay, it's on, so.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that went wrong last year was we had a parade that started and ended at the same place, but our after party was at a other location. So I had to bus people over there. And the bus company that I had worked with to have buses available at 4:00 was like, yeah, we don't have buses for you.
So this is very similar. When the first band trip that I took with my kids, we went to New York City, and the bus company that we chartered to get them from point A to point B went on strike for a day.
Cool.
And
Great.
it was, so we had no transportation. I had parents mad at me. I'm like, what am I going to, this is my fault? You want me to go hail cabs so we can get 250 people to Rockefeller Center? I mean, yeah, so those types of things. It's like,
I was panicking, but we fixed it. And the sense of relief when at the end of the parade, I pulled up and I saw that yellow school bus, I cried.
Yeah.
That's a common reaction, I think, to Mardi Gras, right?
Yes.
It's laughter and tears.
So many extreme emotions.
Well, to give our audience maybe a little bit more of a background, I think we most of our audience is in New Orleans, but yeah, so Mardi Gras consists of a lot of different parades, and so the logistics of juggling.
which if you're not from New Orleans, I'm parked right next to a sign that says no parking on parade days from such and such a time. We have those no parking signs just for parades. If you're not from New Orleans. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
No, the logistics here, it has to factor in. So you guys are rolling early this year. Are you guys happy about that change and like where for me personally, I love it because I never have gotten to go until this year, and I'm really excited to go this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, first, that's very cool. I'm excited for you to see it for the first time.
Last year was the first year that we rolled that early. One of the other things that kind of went wrong mid-season, NOPD talked to us and asked us not to roll in the 2-week window of traditional carnival because their resources were limited and our parade was getting too big, and they were having a hard time managing both the uptown and downtown on the same night.
And it was a shock. The schedule change was a shock, but we worked it out pretty quickly, and they were very gracious in working with us. And then parade day rolled around, and we turned that first corner and saw 4 deep where it used to be one little line of people, and we were like, this was a good decision. Not that we made it, but
and that willingly, but and I was so worried that it was like, it's too early in the season, people aren't going to come out, but we didn't have anything to compete against. Like, there's no other parades. So
now I'm a transplant, but New Orleans, they're really strict about our traditions. It's like, this happens on this time, and if it doesn't happen on this time, I'm going to get mad about it. So there is that. That's probably stressed you out a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it was a huge crowd.
it was amazing.
Yeah, we were
And
stressed.
those are tiny streets right there to roll a parade as well with that many people.
Yeah, we were stressed if people would get into it so early, if people would be mad at us for changing. Also, we just didn't know if our out of town members who come in, we have folks, especially from like Louisiana, Mississippi area, who come in for the weekend. We weren't sure if they were going to be able to make it. So we had concerns all over the place. It ended up balancing out. and worked out ultimately. But yeah, it was definitely a guessing game. At one point, we were like betting against other parades. We were like, "Do you think that we can roll on the same night as X parade, or will that make people mad? Will we pull enough spectators to make it worth it?" Like, we did a lot of calculus.
Well, and then even we have so many members who are also members in other organizations. So we were worried about, like, if we went on this night, are we cannibalizing our own membership because they're going to roll in the other parade? And there were a lot of factors that went into us choosing the early date. But I think ultimately we're happy with it.
It's a tremendous compliment, too, for the police to say, we cannot staff this parade because it has gotten so big. And for like that, I mean, my impression of the parade when it started was it was just this tiny thing of friends who are just like, I just want to dress up as Princess Leia for a day.
Yeah.
And that was what it was. And for it to have grown into something so big, I mean, do you guys have like a general idea of the history of it, of how it's grown from small to big?
Yeah, I mean, so I rolled the second year, and it poured rain. It was a ragtag group of folks, maybe like 200, 300 people. That's probably generous because people started fanning out once it really started raining.
Yeah.
And it was a different organization back then. As it was, I mean, things grow and change.
Well, kind of like a music festival. Most of them start in a parking lot
Yeah.
and a keg of beer and turn into Jazz Fest.
Yeah. And now we're 2,000 marching members of all shapes, sizes, ages, abilities. And it's wonderful to walk up on parade day and not really know exactly who's going to show up or what contraption they're going to show up. Or first time I saw that hamster wheel, I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
So
Now,
it's...
do you all actually have, is that actually Peter Mayhew's sock? Is that right?
Yes.
I'm in
the holy sock.
I'm in the 501st, and my friend in 500, Gary Bro, was actually good friends with Peter Mayhew, and he said he actually got to hold and read his episode 4 script. And
Wow.
And actually, it was on a poignant moment. I was at Star Wars Celebration back in March, April, whatever it was, and I had. Have you ever seen in Finn McCool's the painting of Chewbacca holding a Guinness? I've got that painting. I ordered it, and then I had Peter Mayhew and Jonas sign it. And so as Peter Mayhew was signing it, and he's signed a few other things for me before, I said, we have a common friend in New Orleans. I said, Gary Bro. And he just looked up and he smiled and he said, yes, we do. It was really neat. Well, of course, then 3 weeks later he passed, and it was,
Oh, that's right.
so, but yeah, so I was very fortunate, but it's just that connection. I can't believe Gary got to hold his episode 4 script. But anyway, I'm sorry, but that is actually Peter Mayhew's sock.
Peter rode in the parade twice. He is our emperor for eternity, and I think at one of the after parties we collected the socks.
From the story I've heard is that we asked for something of his, and he was like, "Yeah,
what Jonas told me was that Peter would be very happy that it was, because Jonas was the first one to sign it. He said that Peter likes his Guinness, so he would have probably would have been partaking when he gave up said sock, probably.
Oh yes, there was a generous bar menu that was purchased for the Mayhew and crew. They had a wonderful time in New Orleans, and were always such amazing honorary citizens, and definitely Chewbacca's members.
Is there anything that is going to be going on in the parade this year to recognize that? I don't know if his passing or anything, or...
Yeah, so actually our parade theme is a nod to Peter. So our theme this year is the Roar of the Wookiee, which is, of course, a nod to his Twitter
handle. The Wookiee roars, yeah.
and for Big Easy Con earlier in December, November, whenever that was. What is time?
November.
We built a big shrine so that our members could come and visit and leave their offerings, and we also canonized him in our Cult of the Sacred Drunken Wookiee.
So not just Chewbacca, but Peter Mayhew is actually a holy being in the Cult of the Sacred Drunken Wookiee, and we also have a beautiful painting by one of our members. Hey, Deanna.
It's on your website, right?
It is, yeah. And that will actually be rolling in the parade in a beautiful handmade.
Are there any
very glittery frame?
Are there any prints available?
I'm writing that down.
That's a great idea.
If there is, then get my contact information, because I think I might want one. But you know, he was such a, by all accounts, and like I said, it's interesting to know somebody who knew him and just how gentle of a person he was, and how he was. Again, it's striking to me how he was 3 weeks away from passing, and he was still signing things and engaging with people and everything. So
it's interesting because the name is a play on another local parade for people who don't live here. There's the Chewbacchus,
which, by the way, can I say, this is why I love New Orleans. What is it? The Sacred Drunken Wookiee? That's why I love New Orleans. Yeah. You know. Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to point that out. And I wanted to ask you guys if there's a mission or a philosophy that kind of sets your guys' parade apart from some other parades.
So actually the whole Bacchus reference is, you know, in Mardi Gras, all of the parades are kind of Roman gods, right? Or Egyptian gods, mythological figures who were worshipped. And the whole idea behind Chewbacchus is that we are kind of celebrating our current mythology, right? The things that we hold dear in pop culture now. And so it is that, like, Chewbacca, Roman god of wine, like, coming together to embody what we hold dear.
And kind of leading from there, we, in thinking about the parade, the original overlords put in place some things that they thought Chewbacca would approve of. So one of them is taking care of the earth. So we strive to be green and recycle and reuse build materials and things like that. He was a great friend and valued the people around and beings around him. And so to establish that interpersonal relationship, we make handmade throws that we physically give to individuals on the parade route.
And that's a really special thing, too, because a lot of crews just throw these Chinese plastic beads at you and don't even tell you to duck. They just chuck them at your head, and it's very impersonal.
Yeah, and just quick sidebar / preview. There's going to be a lot of Baby Yoda throws this year. So
Disney hasn't come after you? Haven't come after your Etsy shop yet?
Well, that's the great thing too about Chewbacchus is that, you know, we and Mardi Gras in general, we all do it for free. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the user, it's free. On our end, you know, we use our own hard-earned dollars to make the things to give away to people in the hopes that they will cherish it and put it on their mantles.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually, because I march in tux with the 501st, and, you know, I went and bought a big bunch of Chinese beads to hand to people, you know, when I'm in my snowtrooper armor, and it's like, it's just fun the people just lighten up, and they, you know, But
I was also going to ask, I mean, that's one of the advantages you get with making your own throws is you're able to respond to something capturing the zeitgeist, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, everybody was loving Baby Yoda. We can make Baby Yoda throws. You don't need permission. You know, we can just, because you're giving this out. You're going to be handing this out along the parade route, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
That's why we have Fredo on the show.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's so fun every year to be able to to just shift around and be like, what are people talking about now? What are people watching? What are the new movies or series out there? And let's put our New Orleans twist on it.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about the parade is that it's always changing. Mm-hmm. Every year we have new subcrews, we have new people who join, new blood that brings in new ideas and different perspectives.
Do you have anything? Because I mean, like I said, in the 501st, I mean, it's like somebody tried to join in the garrison I was in back in Nebraska. Tried to join. He made his own stormtrooper armor out of pizza boxes, and the guy who has to approve it, he was like, this is really cool, but you know, the whole thing with 501st, it has to be that movie quality, accuracy. And he's like, this is awesome, but you know, no, you know. So what do you guys, is there any like sort of, you know, that's
rules?
Is there any rules? Is it just
no glass, no fire?
Those are two big ones.
Well, damn it, there we go.
That means
McClunky.
like no flamethrowers,
no flamethrowers,
no torches.
Yeah,
like lots of no fire,
incendiary devices.
No incendiary devices. But as far as costumes go, we just want it to be obvious. We want people to get the joke or the reference or whatever. If it's not, though, that's fine. If you want to be
It was a couple years ago where you had this huge float that was circus themed, and this girl was at the top, and like I was sure she was going to die, but it was such a cool float. But yeah, anyway,
space circus.
How raunchy are people allowed to get on?
That's a good question.
So I like to
no
think...
flamethrowers, no glass.
Yes.
They didn't say anything about raunchiness, Dave. But anyway.
I like to think of our parade as like PG-13, right? We're not Krewe de Vue, but we're also not necessily G-rated either. We do have
no baby Yoda butts. Is what you're saying.
The crew of is our aerial space squad.
Maybe there's baby Yoda butts.
They have a stripper pole that rides in the parade.
And some other things to do aerial tricks on.
Yeah, a lollipop.
Yeah, something they call a lollipop.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's like a hoop.
Yeah.
That they can get all
it's a
spinny
pole
on.
with a hoop on top.
Yeah, it's very cool.
They look amazing up there.
Yeah, so there are definitely some elements of sexiness. There is a ton of spandex. And body glitter.
Lots of cleavage and glitter.
Yeah, but we encourage our members to abide by city designated carnival standards, which say that no overt sexual material can be handed out. So I won't even mention what some of those things might be, but yeah,
everything that people outside of New Orleans think Mardi Gras is, but is not.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The Mardi Gras standards are they're not PG or G typically, but if you know that going in, you know people have a great time. So. It's not R-rated either. Happy balance.
So Dave's got 3 kids, all under the age of 10, correct? Is it a parade that they can enjoy, and Dave and his wife aren't going to have to explain a bunch of things when they go home or anything?
100%.
Totally.
I roll with my family, my brother, my sister, my nieces. My 2 nieces now are 9 and 14, and the younger one rolled for the first time when she was 2. So
and in the Lagerettes we have little Leias who have so adorably grown up in the crew. They've been with us for I think 5 years, so they started when they were 8 or 9, maybe even a little younger for some of them, and so now they're like teens and tweens. And they're right at home. They have some of the best moves.
Now, I was just going to say that's one of the advantages of also being a walking parade. You're able to see who you're handing your throat to. It's not like something that's coming from the second story up above that you're chucking. You don't know who's going to end up with. You can say, okay, I can make a PG-13 throw and give that to the grown-ups. Oh, there's a little adorable girl wearing a Princess Leia costume. You're getting my G-rated stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I love most about Parade Day is that the crowd is as nerdy as we are. um, and
We can confirm that.
Yes, yes, yeah.
and they, everybody gets so excited, and it's this beautiful interaction between drunken nerds on the street and drunken nerds in the parade. And I always like love that moment when there's someone dressed up in like an Adventure Time costume, and I have an Adventure Time throw, and like there's this excitement that's just like, oh my god, I love it.
You know, it's funny because people have asked me before. I said, "Are you going to wear your stormtrooper armor down to Chewbacca?" I'm like, "No," because if you knock me over in that, I'm not getting back up, and it's probably going to get broken. But I mean, but still, it's like, no, I'm not. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been thinking about this. Should I wear one of my buckets or something like that this year?
Costumes are definitely encouraged.
Yes.
If you want to get the cool things, you
Mhm.
should wear a costume.
Yeah. Did you hear that, spectators? If you want cool stuff, look cool.
Well, you saw the meme, the Baby Yoda meme, where the Mardi Gras themed, and says, "Hey, have him do the baby thing," and they put baby, "Hey, throw me something, Mister," and then
Oh
Baby
my
Yoda
God.
has all the beads and everything. Yeah.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that. That's adorable.
Yeah.
So I love this topic because, like, to me, the idea of Mardi Gras is like dressing up, or this a big part of it, right? That's a big part of Star Wars too. At least in terms of sci-fi fans, I think like Star Wars fans more than anyone else, they just love to dress up. So was that like a connection early on that you guys had like consciously considered, or is it something that you just try to nurture now, do you think?
I think it was part of it from the start. The overlords had a feeling that people would want to nerd out and dress in their fandom and party together, and they were 100% right.
I think one of the things I love most about Chewbacchus is the accessibility. Because growing up in New Orleans, Parade Day on St. Charles, on Mardi Gras Day, you see all the people on the floats, and I don't know, I just never thought there's a certain level of privilege that comes with being able to ride in a parade. And I never thought that that was going to be for me. And then when I heard about Chewbacca, I was like, these are my people. And I just got so excited about bringing things that I loved together in a way that was just like so New Orleans and so nerdy. It was like, yeah, this was meant to be.
It's a perfect mix, really, if you think about it. Did you have?
No, I was just gonna say, because one of the other interesting things is that you guys are very inclusive to other nerd, geek subcultures. It's not just Star Wars. It's not just sci-fi. It's also fantasy. It's it goes the gamut from Star Trek to Game of Thrones,
Harry
to
Potter. We've got some cool Harry Potter throws. Yeah.
Anime. You get Adventure Time. So it can be just about any aspect of geek culture people are in love with. You can find a subcrew within.
Absolutely.
Chewbacca.
Yeah.
I think when the crew first started, it was very sci-fi oriented, and it was with the idea that this was a sci-fi parade. And kind of as we grew, we realized there's a crew called Puke. It's the unicorn crew. It's the people for the inclusion of
Unicorns, elves, and wine bots
in Chewbacchus. And it was kind of like started by people in the crew as an inside joke of like, yeah, we don't do fantasy. And then we're like, well, maybe we should do fantasy because it's part and parcel of the same like nerd culture.
Well, that was the thing. Star Wars was not science fiction; it was fantasy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
And so over time, we've kind of embraced the idea that Chewbacchus is not just a sci-fi parade; it's an all nerddom, all fandom parade. And you bring what you're passionate about to the parade. So last year we had this group that was the crew of Share. And I loved their sub crew rodeo form submission. it was like, I know what you're thinking. What does Cher have to do in a science fiction parade? But what you don't realize is that Cher is obviously an alien. Because who else is that perfect? So I think, there are a lot of different elements that come on parade day now. And I like the really open atmosphere that we've created, that people can just bring what they're passionate about.
Yeah,
to
we
the
had
parade.
we had a lot of great creativity. I'll just talk about the most recent year, but we had the Women of Wakanda that brought some very serious costume and makeup game. The NOLA Ram crew of Cher. Who else was like? Oh,
Queer Eye for the Sci-Fi.
Queer Eye for the Sci-Fi, and
were
also
amazing.
Crew to Chew. Yeah, so we had some really strong sub crews come out last year, or I should say start last year. In addition to some folks who have been going strong for several years.
So as you go through the parade and you're looking at the crowd, what's the most, maybe not surprising, but more heartwarming, surprising thing that you notice about the crowd? Is there anything that just makes you go, maybe I didn't expect to see that, or that's really cool to see these people coming to, or is it what you expect?
I think last year definitely was the size of the parade.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over how many people were on the route. It like on Frenchman was insane. It was like packed from the street to the doors of bars, like I had never seen before. And so that people also get so excited is just, it blows you away when someone on the street gets your costume and you have this like obscure like mashup remix that you made up, and someone's like, oh dope, you did such and such, and it's just like, it's this magical moment that you get to share with some random person on the street.
It's kind of like in the 501st when you're in your stormtrooper armor and some little kid comes up and gives you a hug.
Oh
It's
man.
like, or when a little kid hugs Darth Vader, it's
Yep.
just like, yeah, it's like they met Mickey Mouse. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So you alluded to this a little bit, but is there anything new or special planned for this year, for this parade, that you guys would like to talk about?
Yeah, we have lots of new good stuff. One is our route. We are in the French Quarter for the first time ever, so we are very pleased with that.
We traditionally kind of skirt the edge of the French Quarter, just going down Frenchman, and this year we're going right down Decatur. We'll pass Jackson Square. I think it'll be kind of amazing to watch from like the amphitheater
That area, yeah.
moonwalk.
We're planning, I should say, on doing a toast at Jackson Square to our royalty, and we're also going to do a kind of lighting of the sacred drunken Wookiee contraption at the start of the parade. So it'll have a little bit of like a Christmas tree lighting feel. The overlords are going to pour from their cups into the cup of the sacred drunken Wookiee. That will light everything and officially start like the parade clock.
So how can people get involved? I know that I noticed on your website that you are still taking people to participate at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think we're the only parade that takes people on the day of the parade. So you can walk up and
Pay your dues.
give us your dollars.
We'll take your money.
and
We'll give you a wristband.
Yeah.
And you walk in the parade.
Yeah.
We prefer you, of course, to do that ahead of time, so we can, accurately plan for the number of people
Right.
we'll actually have. But yeah, the idea is that if you want it to be in the parade, make it so.
Yeah, and all of our options this year for if you want to join the parade, if you would like to simply attend the after party only, all of that is on brown paper tickets. So that is kind of the first step. And then you can join the Facebook groups, maybe hook up with a sub crew, something like that, and start getting the individual information that you might need. But the starting point for memberships is brown paper tickets.
by the way, did you guys notice the Star Trek line that Ariana
Oh, yeah.
dropped?
I heard it.
Just want to point that out.
Picard has debuted at this
Yes.
point.
Even the Star Wars guy here picked up on it.
So, but yeah, you don't even have to join though necessarily. You can just be like, I want to just go and check it out and see it and have a good time and get dressed up and catch things.
We need those people. Please do that. And it's just a different magical experience than the one that we're having in the parade. So it's gonna be for you. It's like a couple hours of watching just a constant stream of weird and wonderful things come your way.
So and we can maybe edit this out in case it gets too political or anything. But was there any, when you guys came out, did like the crew of Bacchus go, "Hey, yo, what the McClunky?" You know, because Bacchus was there a McClunky? Yeah, there's a McClunky there. Was there any sort of rift there at all, or were they? I mean.
Not that I know of. We used to parade on Bacchus Sunday, which is why part of where the name comes from. And there were already several offshoot parades. There's Box of Wine, Crew of Cork. Like there were several others happening from Bacchus specifically. So I think when Bacchus heard about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, another one of those." I don't want to speak for Bacchus, but it was kind of in the spirit of some other things going on. And then when we changed dates, when we didn't parade on Bacchus Sunday anymore, we just moved further away from that experience. So to my knowledge, there's never been anything.
And so also back up to your new route. You said you're going to be going down what, North Peters, or no, going down Decatur, right?
Yep.
And then when do you turn then?
So we're starting in the Mardi, same place that
Okay.
we've started for the past several years, on Homer Plessy Way, formerly known as Press Street. And then we will hit St. Claude. Where do we turn from St. Claude?
Elysian Fields.
Elysian Fields. We're going to take a left.
Go down Elysian Fields, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to hit St. Claude first instead of last. So we're going to do that. Elysian Fields.
Then
Cut
we're gonna
over.
kind of cut over at Washington Square Park to Frenchman, hit up like a little chunk of Frenchman, and then go down Decatur,
Oh, cool.
all the way to Conti.
And then Chewbaccanal's at the Fillmore this year. Manny Fresh and Tristan Dufresne, along with DJ Nothing, are going to be playing. So we've got a full DJ lineup, so people can, as I like to say, shake their butts after the parade.
So now the Chewbaccanal is your after party.
Yep.
Is that just for the cruise, or is that anybody can come?
Anybody
What's-
can come.
what-
Come
what's-
join us.
what's
Party with
the,
the coolest.
How much money you're taking from my pocket when we do that?
So general admission for non-members is $20. You can do a VIP ticket for $80, and that gets you access to a VIP room with select entertainment in the VIP room, and then also some food and booze options in the VIP room.
Cool. And so the parade rolls February 1st, 7 p.m.
7 o'clock.
Any other sort of information that you want to pass along about this parade that we haven't covered here?
I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, you guys can be thinking about that just to, so while we're dealing with just silence on a podcast, we can. Rise of Skywalker, have you seen the movie? What were your thoughts?
Together.
We've had several episodes now about it, so no holds barred. What'd you think?
I have complicated feelings about it. I both loved and hated it.
I think we're all in that boat.
I wouldn't say hate, but there were some definitely things I wish were not there.
Such as?
First on the list is the Kylo Ray kiss.
Thank you. High five.
I don't want that. I wanted a hug or something meaningful, like bonding.
You know what I think
but
he should
not
have done?
that.
I said this on the podcast. What he should have done was just rub his thumb down her cheek like Han did with him right before he died.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would have made the perfect movie.
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay.
One of the things we talked about in my family debate over it was how come Chewbacca hasn't been promoted to general?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I mean, Leia's there,
Oh, like he's older than everyone,
Right.
more experienced, right? He always wins in the strategy game. Sounds like some Wookiee racism to me.
racism.
But he got his medal.
He finally got
But
his medal.
he finally got his
Yeah.
pity medal.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
got
It
his
was
medal for
token. Too little, too late.
He got his medal for what he did 40 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what kind of things did you like about it?
I guess like overall the emotions. I
Mhm.
cried a lot. I felt like there were some good like fan service moments in there
Yeah.
that I was like, yes, my soul wanted
Yeah.
this. I think it was more of the as I started to digest it more, I was like, wait, what?
I thought the pacing was pretty good. The balance of drama and action and emotional moments and humor. You know, there was a lot of good humor moments in there. But just some things they swung a little too like checking off all the boxes on.
Yeah.
They swung a little too far in that
Yeah,
direction.
yeah.
And what did you guys think of how they treated Carrie Fisher's performance? How they managed, fitting her in given what they had?
Overall, it was better than I expected. But I could have done with a little less of her on screen, I think, and been happier. Some of even any CGI with her makes me uncomfortable, but
You got to be a Leia fan, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Other favorite characters for either of you?
I mean,
Are there characters I don't like?
I know. I have a new Lando action figure. I think that probably says something.
Well, the capes are fabulous.
Capes are so
Yeah,
fabulous, and
yeah.
he helps me out. He sits on my bathroom window and helps me get ready in the morning. I'm a sucker for Han Solo.
Always have been.
Yeah. I think that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me.
So what-
Definite like
oh, go
young
ahead.
girl crush on
Yeah.
on Han Solo.
Oh yeah.
100%.
So how about the other topic we've been hitting on when we started this podcast was The Mandalorian. Have you watched that series?
Yeah. I really have enjoyed it. I love that they're not letting go of the helmet.
I feel like it's the Star Wars we all deserve.
Yeah, it's good. What do y'all think of it?
So what do you mean by that? Because that was what we've been talking about was what, like my brother said, it's the best Star Wars since 1983. It's like, what do you mean by that? What is it? Why is it Star Wars to those of us who could have all gone to college together or whatever?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that
I just made myself a lot younger than I actually am.
Yes.
I think one of the things I appreciate about the storyline is that there's no they kind of benefit from what the original trilogy did, is that there's nothing holding them back. There's no like character or plot line that were trying to squeeze in or like give this person backstory or like so everything just was what it is, and you step in and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, you get the benefit of meeting those new characters. There is a clear quest, right? And that's what was so strong about the original movies, is like George Lucas just followed that journey of the hero cycle, and it's anytime you're following that kind of ancient storytelling style, it's just gonna feel very fulfilling.
So what was your favorite episode or favorite moment? Or did you know that Baby Yoda was going to be a part of this?
Nope.
So what was your reaction when you saw the ears and?
Oh, a lot of squeeing on my end.
There was like silence on our end. My husband and I just like, the episode ended and we looked at each other and we were just like,
Yeah.
I knew there was going. I was spoiled enough that I knew there was going to be a child involved, and I knew that Yoda's species was going to be involved. But I did not put those two things together. So my wife and I are sitting there on the couch watching this. And we both, I think we both squeed. We're like, oh my god! Because,
When he raises his hand for the first time, it was like watching a child take their first steps. I was like, it's happening! It can do it! It can do it!
and he's got such a cool strut too.
Oh, yeah, that like cup of soup moment is just I can't really put into words how happy it made me to just see him like shuffle in those like two little moments with the cup of soup.
Yeah.
So how about the music? That's another thing we've talked about. I mean, obviously John Williams is, has much to do with Star Wars as anybody.
Yeah.
How was it, getting into this series with not John Williams? Because it's, in Rogue One, it was not John Williams, but it was John Williams-esque.
Evocative.
But there's a lot of, we've talked about it a lot. There's a lot of changes. It's a lot different. What do you guys think? Do you think it works?
I think it works for the story that they're telling. It's got a lot of like space cowboy western situation, and
it's a little. It's not the drama of a John Williams or like I'm thinking of the main theme. It's a lot of like you hear the that kind of riding into town on a horse. It's not like
it's more
explosions.
sparse. Yeah.
It's not explosions and
like grand crescendos or anything.
No crescendo. The Lagerettes actually have a Mandalorian remix on our playlist this year.
Right on. There was a little bit of a spoiler there. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So favorite Star Wars movie? I mean, that's a kind of a requisite question.
Oh. A New Hope.
Yeah. I think A New Hope was mine for a long time. And then I was kind of blown away by how much I loved Rogue One.
I was gonna say close second, Rogue One. Yeah, I loved it. I liked that everybody died.
Everybody died, but I still loved.
Yep.
I loved it.
And you know what? I was happy that Cassian and Jin did not kiss at that moment.
Yes. That's
It's
what I was
just-
looking for in the most recent Star Wars.
Gratifying. We're gonna die together.
Yeah.
Embrace.
And what we've done is worthy. And
I liked
I
how
like you, but I don't like you. Yeah.
I liked how complicated all the characters were. There were good gray areas, and I think that's really important for realistic characters to not just be like the good guys or the bad guys.
Yeah, and that's going back to the Mandalorian. That's part of what Mandalorian's got going for it now is you don't know who these characters are.
Well, right, even Baby Yoda, you're like, oh, force choking,
right?
What's going on here?
How about least favorite? Now, I've said that all the movies are like my kids. I don't have kids, but if they'd be like my kids, But I've said that Episode 2 needs to go back to school, and Episode 3 needs to get a job. Which one is maybe one that you will turn the channel on partway through to go check something else out?
Yeah, I recently just rewatched all of the episodes 1 through 3. And I instantly remembered why I hadn't watched them in so long.
I would need to rewatch them to pick out a character.
But I mean, I think Jar Jar is really the death knell
Deal breaker
of like 1 and 2.
I just thought of who mine was. It's emo Anakin. I don't like it. I don't want to see him in love. I don't want any of that.
Well, again, that's been a topic that I was never convinced that the Anakin that we got in Episode 2 and 3 became Darth Vader.
Yeah. Watching
the Clone Wars animated series, totally believe that Anakin. Because, Fredo, you shared a clip with us. It's on YouTube. It's like all of Anakin's dark side moments from the Clone Wars. You can totally buy that character becoming Darth Vader. So, yeah, I just had a hard time with, I'm going to become evil because I love my wife. It's like,
Yeah. Also, I just didn't buy, Padme's been traveling around with Obi-Wan, like a hot, a very good-looking Obi-Wan, and she still falls in love with the younger guy.
That's not gonna happen.
I don't buy
Did you see that like rat tail thing? he
Oh
had going on?
man, no. Come on.
Yeah, just from a realism standpoint.
you and McGregor could rock a mullet, that's for sure. So,
And
yeah.
still look amazing.
Yep.
so well, now we're getting into, I think we're getting towards the end of
Are
our
we getting
material.
catty now?
Well, hey, we want to thank you guys for joining us. We don't want to take up any more of your time. But unless, Dave, you got some more.
No, just give you another opportunity to plug the parade and let everybody know it's like this thing's coming up, right? It's
Yes.
really awesome.
Oh my
Come out,
gosh.
join us. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have so much fun.
That
Saturday,
fun, I was gonna say
February
that.
1st,
Yeah.
7:00. Wear a costume. Come to the after party.
And remember, there's a different route, so you don't have to all pack in the Marigny.
That's right. That's right. Check the apps. Check the local publications that publish maps. If
I
you're,
think we actually got everybody to
I think
update.
finally
to the
we're
new,
updated.
We're finally there was a couple weeks there where everybody had old maps. And
Yeah.
some people had like maps from 2017, and we were like, how did this? Well, but I think we finally got that squared away. So everybody's got the right
I
map.
think we're good. So that's going to be on Saturday, February 1st at 7 p.m. If you're looking for a place to line up, we're going to recommend St. Claude Avenue or anywhere on Frenchman or Decatur. Those are going to be some great spots to see the parade this year.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was
And,
a pleasure. All hail.
All hail.
And we'll see you a week from Saturday. And hopefully Fredo will be over his cold. I'll be over my cold. And Dave wouldn't have caught a cold. So, but cool. Well, thank you very much. And that is another episode of the Who Dat Jedi podcast. You can check us out on Podbean and on iTunes and Twitter and Facebook. Did I miss anything, Dave?
Not yet, but we got a few others in the works.
Right on. So, but check us back for our next episode. Until then, we'll say Who Dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
McClunky.